俺の拳を試すか Come on!
This is gonna be a match to remember. Fight!
Folks, welcome back to another episode of the Slovenly Gamer Podcast. I am your host, Milton. And on this week's show, I got my homie with me, really good friend. I'm proud to call her a friend. She runs an ST tournament. She also plays locally. You've often seen her on streams, but, to her chagrin, because she always feels like she doesn't do that great on stream. I'm talking about my homie and yours, the one and only Tania Miller, a.k.a. Miller Time, a.k.a. my favorite a.k.a. KillrMiller. What's up? Welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. Thank you so much for being on the show. Now, before we start talking about Mika and the gloriness of our shared character and the madness that's going on in Street Fighter right now, let's start back at square one. Who the hell is Tania Miller, and how did you get into Street Fighter? How did you get into gaming? Because we don't even know if you started at Street Fighter. How did it all begin for you?
I guess we got to rewind back the time and go back to 1996, where my uncle had a PlayStation 1, and I was not allowed to play video games, because that was for the boys. It's a waste of time. You're not allowed, but my uncle didn't let my mom know or didn't let anyone know, and I got to fight my cousins in Mortal Kombat.
What?
Back in 96.
That's sick. That's pretty sick. So you started with Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting when I hear that story. There's been a few people who are like, they started with like this random game. Like I was talking to Bam in the last episode, and Bam was like on the previous episode, and Bam was like, I think what did he start with? Before he got into Smash, he actually started with Street Fighter and stuff like that, and then it kind of like migrated over to Smash. So that's very interesting. So who was your character, and how good were you, man?
Jade was my girl.
Okay. Of course,
because I don't think any of me and my cousins believed in the block button.
Right.
So it's all about who could get the attacks out faster and the farthest. But then when my cousins started playing... who's the guy with the ice? I forget. One of the ninjas.
Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero, yeah.
Yeah.
I could not deal with
You
this.
could tell you're Street Fighter kid, 'cause you don't
I don't even remember anymore.
You don't even remember the Mortal Kombat character. Like the dude with the ice.
Well, I tried going back to MKX, but then I was on PC, and that fell through, as we all know.
Yeah.
So you would have seen KillrMiller and MKX, but...
Sorry, guys. Yeah, that was terrible. Like, that whole thing was really, really bad. But that's awesome. So, 96, Mortal Kombat... Jade, like, and that was it for you. Were you just hooked from there, or it was just more like, oh, it's family kind of fun things doing with my relatives?
Well, it was fun at the time, but it was just that my cousins were getting bigger, so it was harder to, wrestle and have these, fun tournaments outside, because physically everyone starts getting bigger than you, and you're like, oh shit, I'm like the smallest of my cousins, by the way. I'm like 5'2", and they're all like 6 foot people now.
Okay, I know the feeling. I'm like the run of my family too, so I know the feeling. I'm very familiar.
So Mortal Kombat was that level playing field, that level playing game where it didn't matter. Right. It was all about, can you beat your cousin in like mindset in the mind games, you know? So that to me kind of really grabbed, because I Tomb Raider, I was really bad at playing and watching. Crash Bandicoot, I would freak out at the jumps.
Tomb Raider not your fault though, because Tomb Raider had a shitty ass camera.
It did.
Tomb Raider's camera was
awful.
horrible, so that's not your fault. I know a lot of people who are really good at games, like Siphon Filter. I love that game. But that shit had the shittiest camera in the world, man. And like after about like an hour or two, you'd be dizzy. Like you'd be like, I really can't. And I don't even have motion sickness, and that's how bad the camera was. Like I got motion sickness just because the camera. So I'll let that one slide. That's not you. Crash Bandicoot. That's no excuse. That game was,
to me, it was still the camera angles. It was that back point of view,
yes,
and you couldn't change it. Whereas at least like on Spyro, I still love that game today.
Yeah.
You could at least change it, even though there's still shitty camera angles.
Right.
But at least you still had the choice of that independent control.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, it was fun. But it was just one of those things you did at Thanksgiving, Christmas, whenever you're at your uncle's house or grandma's house, and I mean, it was fun, but I didn't really think much more about it until maybe later on when me and Eugene, aka El Trouble, were friends at the end of high school, and we started. Not at that point, actually. He was just the dude who beat me at SoCal FGC. I was like, who's this motherfucker? Like,
this random ass
who's
dude.
this guy? And then we started playing Smash a little bit, and I was like, why is he edge guarding? What a bitch! Like, who does this?
Wait, does he know all of this right now? Because this is gonna be interesting when you guys listen to this together. He's gonna be like, "What? You never told me that."
He knows. I would always get upset and just like, "Oh, who are?" He was the only one of my friends who could beat me at fighting games because everyone else I would just roll on. It was great.
Okay. See, the beginnings of a relationship.
Yeah, the beginnings of a relationship building on hate and love and plenty of couch matches.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, and it worked out because you guys are what 10 years later.
Yeah,
still
10
together?
years later. Yeah,
that's crazy. So you met Eugene. You guys started playing together at that time in high school. You said you started playing Street Fighter a little bit.
Well, technically, no. So I played, I dabbled in it, but the first matches I played, I think Street Fighter 4 just came out.
Okay. All right.
They were playing Guile and Boxer, and I was so upset because I didn't really know these mechanics because I had played like Bloody Roar, Soul Calibur, Smash, and Kicks, and they're all kind of different. Yeah.
Very different.
And so I get really salty when I lose. And I just took that salt for like 3 years and didn't want to play it, and I actually hated Street Fighter at that time. I said, it's a waste of your time.
Really?
And I said, I don't think you should be playing this.
Why did you hate it though? Like, what was your mindset of like why this game is trash?
I think it was more about like I didn't know anything about it. It came from a place of ignorance, and I was just like, "Oh, you're just pressing buttons. You're just mashing.
Okay,
this is
enough.
not like skill. This is not."
yeah. Fair enough.
But it's ironic now.
Yeah, it's ironic because you're really good at the game. So now you went from this is just smashing buttons to smashing buttons really well.
So it really was the transformation between me actually playing and really enjoying the community and really getting invested was actually with Mike Ross and Gutex with Cross Crowner.
Right.
Without that show, without that entertainment value and making it fun and kind of breaking down the strategy mechanics.
Right.
And at the end of the day, God, Honda's so much fun, just having a great personality. Mike Ross is the reason I'm playing Street Fighter. Without that, I would not be in the community today in his show. I didn't really start in the community until 2011 because of his show. Wow. After his win at EVO in 2010 and all that, and Cross Counter blew up. Yeah. So Eugene started, he's a smart man. He started feeding me all these videos like, ooh, look at this. Isn't this amazing? Right. Ooh, look at the all women's tournament, from 2010. Look at these amazing females. You could be one too. He started
okay, so he's like accepting me towards that point. So now at that time, were you guys like, you guys are still friends? What was the personal relationship also developing throughout that time of you kind of like him sending you these videos like, hey, like you should really play this game. This game is awesome.
Well, so let me rephrase. So we were friends and then we got together and then that's when we started playing that first game of Street Fighter 4 and I hated it. And then it was a couple years later. Okay. So it was almost like around like year 5 that he started feeding me the Mike Ross, the cross counter and all that. I see. So it was actually during the relationship. And let me just tell you is that when you start playing Street Fighter or learning from your boyfriend, it's an interesting dynamic. I can't tell you how many dudes come up to me or ask me, go, how do I get my girlfriend to play Street Fighter? And I usually say, wait till it's like year 3, year 5 when you have a stable relationship because you're going to get into fights in the game and out of the game about teaching and all this.
Since you mentioned it, I'm glad you did. Since you mentioned it. Now, this is interesting, and I'm so happy to have you here and talking about this again because like I'm a fan, and I'm a fan as well too, and I know you got fans out there. So this is going to be funny. And there's people in the community who kind of are in relationships and the girlfriends come out or boyfriends come out and not both of them always play and there's arguments about that. Talk about that a little bit. Just like you don't have to get anything too deep, but like the funnier points of like being in a relationship and then arguing over matches.
So in the beginning, Eugene's he used to play back when he was younger. So he's had way more experience and more years. So it's difficult when your significant other is just that hill. Yeah, and you're always kind of chasing them, and you're always just like, oh, what are these days? I think that's where my style grew out of more of an offensive player because of that. He was such a defensive zoner, you know, just always throwing fireballs, and I always had to get my ass over them. I know the feeling. Yeah. So Eugene will say this too. There's been many moments where I get upset and so salty that I've thrown my stick at him, or I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. But then when you start pushing yourself and putting so much effort into it, you do start to see results. Right. And then you do start to see those moments where, hey, I'll first to 3 to do the dishes. Like, hey.
You know what? That sounds like a fun household right there. Just like, listen, first to 3, and you got the dishes. It's like, but I washed them yesterday. Listen, man, if you don't want to catch these hands, you know, you just say so. You don't have to make any excuses about not, you know, wanting to go do this first to 3. It's okay. So now you came in on Street Fighter 4. Like, how did you like that game? Because you see now that Street Fighter 5 was out, and looking back, I think there's a lot of mixed people. No, you know what? To be fair, people are looking back at Street Fighter 4 very, very lovingly, and I think a lot of it is bullshit because, as you know, people had issues with that game, and Street Fighter 4 did not become beloved. And even when it was like at the heights of being good, it took 4 years for the game to actually get what it became, like Ultra, and everybody just loved it. And I was like, wow, this game is amazing, and so on and so forth. Like, how do you feel now that you've kind of like been through both waves? So like, you started the wave of Street Fighter 4, you see the growth, you've seen the change, you've seen people go from like groaning and like, I fucking hate this game, but I'm gonna play it because my homies play it, and this is what we do, so we're just gonna continue with this game. Now Street Fighter 5 comes out, and people are saying the same thing about 5, but also trying to pretend like if there was all this fondness for Street Fighter 4.
Well, that's funny you say that because I started in Street Fighter 4 AE. And of course, you know, my beloved senpai, Mike Ross, plays Honda, so I'm going to play Honda. Right. This is the defensive powerhouse who took away his light punch headbutt and pretty much all defensive options. Yep. He got neutered. Yeah. So I'm actually one of those people, and I said this back in the day, I did not like Street Fighter 4. I played it to enjoy the community. I played it to learn fundamentals, and I played it just to go, okay, oh, this is an OS. Okay. Oh, this is plinking. Oh, learning some things from there. But at the end of the day, I did not enjoy playing it competitively. I did it because when Honda sometimes had chances, like, okay, I can play the game I want to. Then Elena comes out, then Vortex characters are all out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no heart and feel to this. And I started gravitating more towards Super Turbo because of that. To me, Super Turbo is still my all-time love, and 4 is like, thank you for all that you've done, you know? Like, you've done this, but I do not like you at the end of the day. You need to stay dead. You do not need to come back as a zombie. I completely agree. I honestly completely agree. You know what? Because I didn't even really play 4. Like, I just didn't like the game. It wasn't the game that I remembered. And Street Fighter 5 is a little bit more than that, even though it's a very messy game. And I don't know if you saw the video, but Vicious, along with Bizarro Mike from Yahoo Sports and Ultra David did like a solid, like, I think like 10 minute interview. And Ultra David was just like, this game is a piece of shit. And like, he basically said that. He was like, this game is a piece of shit. But he said he was like, here's why it's a piece of shit. Like, this is where they went wrong, and this is how they can change to kind of like bring the game back. So, and like, that's where I am with the game. Like, that's why I haven't played in like 2-3 months. I'm just like, this shit is just really, really bad. So it's really crazy. So now kind of jumping back to 4 a little bit. So literally when that happened, so you kind of only maintained your part in the community as it pertains to Street Fighter 4 just because of the community, because they just killed your character. Your character was dead. Definitely. Which is interesting because that's kind of what they did to our character. Now, you know, and you made 2 points there that I want to touch on ST2, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, because, you know, you kind of I'll give you credit right now. You reintroduced me into ST when you were like, hey, my job. Yeah, you were like, hey, Milton, you should really play this game. And I remember
like at first, like when I didn't know you, like honestly, this is my first impression of you. Like, and you don't remember this at all. We're at Super Arcade. Mm-hmm. And you were like, hey, you want like, we got this like Super Turbo thing going on. You probably even remember then because I used to wear like a brown fedora. You're like, hey, $2, get in ST. And I remember looking at you, I was like, nah, I'm good, man.
So many people have said that to me. Yeah, you just have to let it go. That's why I don't remember.
Yeah, I was just like, nah, I'm good. Like, and like, I didn't play, and it wasn't anything about, like, it was just straight up like, do you even play? And I don't want somebody to ask me to play this game, and like, you don't play. You just want to make money off me. And I do that to everybody. Male, female, doesn't matter. I'm like, unless I've seen you play, like, I'm going to give you that respect of like, okay, like, I'm gonna get bodied, but I'll give you the $2 support, whatever. I was just like, nah, I'm cool. Fast forward, everything happens at Super Arcade. Start going to Wednesday night fights at Esports Arena. See you there, still doing the same thing. Tried a couple times, like, nah, I'm cool. Saw you play Mika. I was like, oh shit, I remember her. I was like, I would always see you guys running in tournaments, so it's not like I wasn't familiar. I was just like, yeah. Then I saw you play, and I was just like, oh shit, she's nice. Then when you asked, was like, hey, you want to play? I was just like, yeah, I'm down.
That's what I tell El Trouble, who's the president right now of Super Turbo for North America, is that I come in from the Street Fighter V side, the new side, and he comes in from the old school. He gets all, people in CVS2, Street Fighter 2, the Alpha series. So he goes the old school way, I go the new school way. And we just want people to join because we want there to be a bigger and better scene for Super Turbo. I mean,
it's so fucking good.
Yeah, but you're talking to people who, when it first came out, they were upset because it was a broken game. And I'm going to be honest, it's a fucking broken game, but it's so much fun.
But it's so fun. Super Turbo is stupid. The game is stupid.
There's so much bullshit in it.
There's so much bullshit in the game. Like, the game is stupid. But the fun, like, honestly, like, that day that I first, like, played Super Turbo, like, I've never had that amount of fun playing Street Fighter V at all.
Dang. Okay.
And, like, when you guys were like play and I started playing, like, I can honestly say without anything, like, that game made me love Street Fighter, and it made me remember why I loved playing Street Fighter. Aww. That's why to this day, if I go and like the last time I went, I wanted to play and I fucking forgot my Mahori stick because I came from Mahori pad because I came from work. But literally, I prefer to sit and play Super Turbo and be bodied and have fun and laugh than play Street Fighter V, just because like I just get annoyed with everything in this game. Like, this game is so stupid. Like,
but I think you have to remember that Street Fighter V is a different game entirely. Like Street Fighter 4.
Yes,
it's a different game entirely. But it just wasn't for me, and I respect that. Like, it just doesn't work for you. That's fine. Don't get me wrong. Street Fighter V, there are some broken mechanics too. But then you have to wonder, should we play around those broken mechanics like we do in ST and develop a game around that? Or are we going to patch it and fix it and then start doing these new things? So I'm very spoiled because at the end of the day, ST is static. There's not going to be any more updates.
Right,
There's not going. So we've created this brand new strategies around that. You know, Tia Hawk 20 years ago wasn't considered a really good character.
Yeah,
but after the Sako tick, holy shit, he's one of the big ones. So you have to ask yourself, with these continued patches, is Street Fighter V at its core right now a good game if we learned all the bullshit and work around it? Or is it just not for you? Or do we have to wait till the patch and see what then develops and creates after it?
That's a very, very good point of view, because that's something that I thought about myself. Like, like we kind of have to go around it, and like it took so long for Street Fighter 4 to develop into what it was. And I kind of like went back and forth, and just recently I kind of like set my mind on it. I'm no longer a fence sitter, and I was just like, no, you know what? Kind of like fuck this game a little bit. And and like the reason, like I have reasoning behind it. It's just like, oh fuck this game, I'm not good. Like I know that, but like my whole thing was they had the opportunity to learn from what they did in 4.
They did,
and instead of learning from it, they made a game for esports.
But it's because they're getting back to that question of where's the money come from. They had the money to develop Capcom Cup first.
Right.
So that was their priority, and it sadly the game suffered a little bit because of it.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. But I'm an optimistic person at the end of the day, and I'm hoping with the season 2 changes, if they actually do core mechanics,
R.I.P. Mika.
not just I know, not just character nerfs and buffs and whatnot. Actually, core mechanics. I think it could be a great game. Because as of right now, there's only a small percentage of people who could say they're experts at the game, and who
would you say those people are in your estimation?
Well, pretty much most of the people there are Capcom Cup. You know, NuckleDu is a master of the mechanics. I've said again and again. Yeah. But these other people are like maybe masters of their character. You know, and I think the reason personally why NuckleDu won Capcom Cup is because he was master of the mechanics and master of mentality. Right. You know, he saw his opponent and he's like, oh, you're gonna do this right now, well, I'm gonna you kind of tweeted
that out, I remember. Like, you kind of like went back and forth.
Didn't see a lot of response, but to me like that's how I saw it. Granted, I'm not a NuckleDu, but I haven't, he doesn't play Mika all the time. He switches between 3 characters. And even in those characters, he'll switch between styles. Right. And so it's all about seeing the player and how they react in that mental chess game to me. More so with NuckleDu's plays rather than some of the other people, it seemed like.
I would agree with that. And like this would be my response because 140 characters just aren't enough in terms of that. And yes, I'm a little bit biased, and I'll just say that because I felt vindicated for all people who love Mika, because Mika is, and I'm one of those Mika players that like, without a doubt, she's a scumbag.
Yeah, it's part of her charm.
She's a fucking scumbag, like the scumbag. And NuckleDu proved it on that stick because he was doing some scumbag shit. Like, okay,
just like, I'm gonna disrespect you. You're not gonna
disrespect. The disrespect that NuckleDu showed those top players in the world was hilarious. Fucking disrespect.
But even the Guile disrespect was so strong.
Yeah, it was
shimmy game. He just walked back. Fierce.
It was just disrespectful, and I think that goes to talk about what you just mentioned in terms of mentality versus character playing and different things like that. And I agree with that because that's the same kind of thing that I see in the great Daigo. And when Daigo was at his heights, he's a married man now. He's like an ambassador for shit. And people are like, oh,
lots of jobs.
He has a lot of jobs. So I think when people have, they see him, they're not seeing him perform like we're accustomed to seeing him perform in the game. And I'm like, oh, well, it's a new game. He's probably adjusting. And not only that, he has 50 million jobs. So he probably doesn't have the same amount of time like he did in 4 to sit down and actually grasp exactly what was going on, like I think NuckleDu did, and NuckleDu like addressed that and looked at it and was just like, I'm playing a combination of things. I'm playing the player and I'm playing this character and mentality and behaviors and all these different layers that I think that people kind of underestimate with fighting games, because people don't realize that when you play a fighting game, there's levels to everything, and you're not just playing a Guile player. I'm playing a Guile, I'm playing the person that's playing Guile, and I'm playing the mentality of that person playing Guile. And those are all just a couple things that you have to, contribute and think about. And I felt like he did such a fucking masterful job of it with a character that I love. And again, R.I.P. Mika,
Yeah. I hope she's not dead yet. Maybe there'll be some tech in the mid-range. I know that it's a big nerf, we'll see. But I think at the end of the day, you can't have always character loyalty, and you have to be willing to be adaptive to be the best.
True.
I mean, look at Daigo. He started with Guile.
True.
In Super Turbo, and then he went to Ryu, and then he went to Boxer.
Yeah.
So it's all, and then even look at the iteration of 4.
True.
He was Ryu first, I believe.
Yeah, he was.
And then he went to Yun. Right? Mm-hmm. And then he went to Evil Ryu.
Yeah.
So
wow.
To be
same thing with Snake too.
Yeah, to be a top competitor, you have to be adaptive, and you have to utilize every asset, every tool in your tool chest.
I agree with that. But for me, it was really hard for me though, just from the standpoint of like, I haven't played in a really long time. I got back into the game and I found a character that I was just like, yes. And I was like, I fucking love this character. And every time I've lost a million games in Jesus Christ.
We all have lost a million games.
I'm horrible. And, and then like work and life just kind of took up a lot of time. So I wasn't able to like practice as much as I wanted to. But when I lost, Mika was a character that I was just like, yo, it's me. I was just like, fuck. I'm like, what is it that I'm not like, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like up to the other day, the homie Outlaw Sean and I, played a couple games, beat him once and, got murdered the rest. But, and I could have beat him, but I knew it was me. Like, I knew that this shit that I forgot, and there's things that this character is capable of doing that I can't remember, or I didn't practice enough to kind of like figure it out yet and have it in me. So that's what I feel like. But with other characters, I feel like they don't have this, they don't have that. And like Mika was the first character I felt with like in a very, very long time. It's like when I lost, I was like, fuck, man, that's all me. I'm like,
I felt the same way when I picked up Street Fighter 5. She was the only one that didn't make me rage quit online or didn't make me rage quit when I played other players. I was like, oh, okay, it's me.
It's me.
It was really apparent.
It's just like I'm just making really, really bad decisions.
Oh, and trust me, I'm very sad about the future nerfs as well. Like I was on the verge of tears that day going, oh no, I'm going to have to pick another character. But I have a different mentality is I want to be the best. Right. So if Mika is not going to get me there, but who knows?
Agreed. No,
there might be some tech to, get rid of that wall that they're going to take away. But at the end of the day, I'm so competitive. I don't care who I'm going to pick now. I've kind of changed my mindset where I'm actually having fun with some other characters and I'm trying to figure out the style, the mentality, what I need to do in a match to win.
So what made you decide to play Mika?
Because she's fun. Yeah. Oh my God.
Aside from the scumbaggery,
She's Honda 2.0 in my book. She's got her butt slams. She's got her headbutts, but they're in like really fun ways, and that fun personality was like, I just want to teach wrestling to the world. Let's go. But yeah, fell in love with her personality, and for once I got to play a top tier character. I haven't been able to do that. Yeah. It's such a long time.
It's true. Now, I've seen you play the character. You're good.
I need work.
We all do. We all do. I saw you play Auntie. Right? I don't remember. Did you?
I won.
You did get him, right? And who did he play? Guy or Ken?
Barely though, because again on stream, I need to work on that.
The nervousness.
It's like 3 times terrible on stream. I'm trying to work through that, but my best matches are off stream.
But sure. Why is that? Because I feel like when you play on stream in ST, it's like you're playing. It's like, yo, that's Miller right there. But when you play, for some reason, when you play Street Fighter, when you play 5 on stream, it's kind of like, and we have very similar personalities when we play. You get mad at yourself. Like, this is my thing, okay? And I'm gonna say this. This happened. I was there Wednesday night fights, and I can't remember. It was like some random dude, and you played and you lost. I think he was playing Guile or some shit.
He was playing. I know what you're talking about. He's playing Nash.
Nash, right?
Yeah, which I just lost to this week too. Nash is a problem right now.
Yeah. It's Nash is a good character. So you lost, but you were beating this dude. Like, you could, and the dude, the respect to him, he said it. He was like, yo, dude, she had me. But you got upset at yourself. Like, what are you doing to trying to change that mentality, especially knowing that the character changes that you're going to have to deal with, possibly migrate into another character? Like, how are you dealing with that personally of like, you know what? I have to try to work on those emotional responses, because if it's not just me, but other people around me, friends are looking at like, yo, dude, like, you fucking had this dude. Like, your competition is like, yo, you had me, but you just got upset at yourself. So because you got upset at yourself, I was able to take it. Because that dude admitted, he was like, yo, dude, she had me. He's just like, but when she got started to get salty, I was able to get in there. You know what I'm saying? So like, what are you doing? And I know a lot of other people can use that secret. So what are you doing to kind of like change that a little bit?
To be honest, to be fair, I haven't put as much time as I have into Super Turbo as I have into Street Fighter 5. And that's what it basically comes down to. Is at the end of the day, at Super Turbo, I'm not surprised at anything. I've seen it all. Okay. You know, whether it's on, I've watched it in Japan or I've been in Japan and I've seen it all. I'm very rarely surprised in Super Turbo, whereas in Street Fighter 5, it's still, some aspects are still new to me. So I can tell, like, even when I play Super Turbo, I can even feel the mindset is different. In the beginning, and I'm still trying to figure this out, I do use emotions to funnel and kind of play in that aggressive kind of mentality. It does help me. My emotions does fuel that a little bit better. It works really well in Super Turbo because I know every example at this point. But in Street Fighter V, I don't, and I start to play kind of along a certain pattern, and they start to realize that, and it's a different game. I can't just go solely on reactions. It feels like Street Fighter V is more about anticipation and reading your opponent, which I still need work on. And I'm more of a reactionary, heavy, you do this, I do this, sadly kind of flowchart way. Yeah. And that works for me in Super Turbo, but it doesn't work for me in 5. Right. So kind of two aspects is, one, I don't have enough hours in Street Fighter 5, so I'm trying to put it... for crying out loud, I didn't play online Street Fighter 5 until about May of this year. Ooh. Yeah, because I was so ingrained in that old school thought of, oh no, you only play offline 1,000 hours, because that's what I did with Eugene to get better. Yeah. And it showed in Super Turbo. But it doesn't work in Street Fighter 5 because there's just so many more mechanics and it's different. And you know what? To play online. And you know what too? Like, you have to, but I personally feel online farms a lot of bad habits. But then you look at NuckleDoo. He has no scene in Florida and it's mostly all online. True. True. It's true. Like, so what works? He's an anomaly. Yeah. You're right. Maybe he's an outlier, but what works for somebody? No, seriously, yeah. Because if you know what, too, who's very similar like that, LPN. Because remember the first time we saw LPN, LPN was just this dude that everybody knew. Like, he always was one of these online dudes, and he showed out, and like now he's a household name. You know, people know him. When if you say LPN, people are like, of course, like yeah, man, like you know what I'm saying? Like he's doing his thing. So it's definitely that. But what were you gonna say about like what works for one may not necessarily work? Yeah, what works for one person may not work for another person. True. You know, what works for LPN doesn't necessarily work for KillrMiller or Trouble or you know whoever is playing that day. So I still think you need a good balance though of online and offline. I agree. You're right. There are some bad habits you learn online, but when you get to a certain level, for the most part, like I think you learn bad habits. Like, for me, I learned bad habits against medium players because it doesn't work against high-skill players. But it works really, really well against medium and low-tier players. Yes. But then I have to figure out my opponent really quick. Are they a high-skill player or are they a medium-skill player? You kind of have to put in them boxes. Yes. You know? It's true. I think Daigo said there's like 10 different boxes he puts people in to figure out what they're like. So at the end of the day, you have to be a stats person and figure out where do they go. You know what? It's true, because I remember we were talking some Mika Tech, and I was just like, yeah, man, you know what I do often that I find that works? And you were like, yeah, that's good, but that's not gonna work against high level players. And I played a couple high level players, and it fucking doesn't work. And that's the what is it, like low medium, the shoulder? And I was just like, light shoulder. You were telling me about that. Light shoulder into grab or into EXP. Oh my gosh. I get people so much at that shit, but when I play like Vicious or like other high players, like, man, they're like, really, son? And they can whiff punish, you know, just little things like that. The shoulder thing too, I was using too much, and people higher levels were whiff punishing me, and I was like, oh shit, it works online for the medium, I guess we could call it platinum level players, or gold, but it doesn't work for the diamond players. It doesn't work for that. You have to pick your spots more. But you have to figure out, okay, what type of player are there and what can I utilize into my advantage, and then pick up on those smaller things too you're noticing within the match. There's so many little fine points to kind of move around, and I think like that's what makes the game great. And it's interesting because like, you know, now that the community's getting all this shine, it's interesting to see people like, oh my God, like, oh, people play video games, but I always find myself explaining it. I don't know if you do, and I want you to talk about that a little bit. Like finding, number one, people being surprised that you play and you're a female. And number two, having to explain all the intricacies that go along with playing the game. Because I think people think it's just button mashing. And they don't. Well, I thought that too. Yeah. Yeah, of course. So, but now that's what I'm saying. Like, it gives you a better context and perspective, because now you can be like, I had that same mentality. And because I played this game, you worked through that mentality. So I think
someone like you would be the best person to kind of explain it to someone else, because you're like, oh yeah, I had that mentality too, but this is really what it is, and this is what changed my mentality. So like, what would you say, or what do you tell people now when you're like, yeah, like this is what I do and I really enjoy it, and we have this company that we're trying to grow, and you know, just like, and it's like, oh, like really? Isn't it just not playing video games? Like, how do you explain it to the outsider? How do you explain it to the people who are getting into, oh God, I hate saying this, esports? I hate.
At the end of the day, I'm a competitive player, and I used to play soccer. I used to play softball. I used to play all these sports growing up. Right. Granted, I didn't, take it to the extreme, but I was missing that competition in my life. And video games and the FGC, the fighting game community in general, has given me that opportunity. And that's what I try to say to people is there's so much more to it. It's just like any sport. Right. Even though I know you don't like saying esports, and at some time I didn't either. Yeah. At the end of the day, it is a sport. Yeah, it is. You do have to train. You have to put thousands of hours into it. You have that competitive edge. You have tournaments you have to travel to. Yeah. It's just like any sport. True. It just doesn't seem so physical because they're abstract concepts on
it's happening in the mind. Yes. Our physical, our toughness, our resilience is occurring in the mind. So people don't necessarily, they look at it and like, oh yeah, it's not the same thing.
But UFC fighters have to deal with this too. I've been listening to my new book I've been listening to is the fighter's mind for the UFC. Yeah. No. And they're saying like, they say that 80% of their of the game is mental. Of course. And I'm just like, holy crap, that's a huge percentage. And I feel the same way about Street Fighter. Yeah. So they have to plan their attacks. They have to figure out. You can't just be like, if you look at soccer, you just can't be the best dribbler. You can't be the best forward. Oh gosh. You know? Yeah. You have to have strategy with your team. You have to open up every single incentive. So same thing here.
That's why what's his face from Argentina?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name right now. Messi.
Messi, okay.
That's why I'm gonna talk some shit right now. all you Messi lovers out there right now. That's why he doesn't perform when he goes to his national team, man. Because they don't have their shit together. Like they don't have all the strategy planned out. They don't have that mental toughness. Unlike Brazil. I don't want to. I'm just gonna drop that in there. I'm just gonna drop that. I don't care how you guys feel. I don't care if your emotions are hurt. I'm just saying. But back to that fighter's mind. Like I definitely understand that, because it's like I love boxing, and a lot of boxers talk about that. Like Muhammad Ali, arguably one of the best boxers in the world, he talks about that. It's just like there was a thing where he's all loud outside of the ring, he's going crazy, he's yelling at this guy.
But he's doing that on purpose. It's part of his strategy.
And they took his blood pressure. Blood pressure was normal. You would think someone yelling and and they were like, no, it's normal because it's all in the mind. He's like, oh no, and I'm not really angry. I don't really hate this guy, but I know I'm gonna get him upset. And he can't strategize properly because he's upset. Now, how does that work in the FGC? We have ways, and most of it is in game, and people get upset about that. But like, how do you do that to people? Like, how do you do that, or how do you do it? And have you ever done it to competition? Like, kind of like fucking with them a little bit, just like before you get into a match, or you're doing something in match, because that's generally sometimes how it works with us. Like Knuckle do kind of like fucking teabagging people in Capcom Cup, like fucking ridiculous, man.
But it's an asset, you have to utilize all your assets. Me personally, I feel that I'm on the higher level of mediocre players, lower level of like really high players. So I'm still grasping at what needs to work for me. Right. But what I've figured out in these past couple weeks, granted this could change, is that I literally look at my opponent and I try to size them up right there. And then if I notice that I was really upset at Canada Cup, because I had lost my first match on stream again. Notice the pattern, and I was so upset. I came to my to the TO and to my area, And I just rolled through 8 guys because I had my headphones in and I just gave everyone a look like, I'm going to kick your ass.
Oh, shit.
And you could tell the way they were playing. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. I was just like, and it made a difference. So how you present yourself on the outside may help sometimes. So sometimes I'll see, oh, can he crack if I just go, hey? Or I go, hey, what's up? Or if you have a funny name, maybe I'll make fun of your gamer tag.
Right. That
like
works
certain
too.
People.
Yeah.
But I'm still coming up with strategies outside of the game to get in their mental space. But inside the game, it's all about training their tendencies, especially as a hybrid grappler as Mika. Granted, that will change.
Yes.
But
sadly.
But I guess that's in any play is just training them for their tendencies, you know, and then capitalizing on that later. So whether it's shimmying, whether it's, I command you 2 times, now I'm going to regular throw you and not press a button.
Right.
Oh, I meatied every single time. Oh, you're going to DP now.
Okay.
You know, so that's certain training. And that's what's so interesting to watch, like, these new kids on the block that are coming out. They're not getting scared and they're not getting trained. They're just like, I don't care, I'm going to DP. And so you have to figure out really quickly, is your opponent going to get trained by this or not?
DP's no longer invincible, so good luck with that shit. Good luck.
I'm not a DP character. So
no. Not you, but the people who are, you know what I'm saying, in terms of like those people who just like YOLO and you're just like, okay.
Yeah. We'll see how that
like that shit's not gonna work too well for you. I mean, it wasn't working all that great. You have to be a certain tier to be able to do that. But now especially, it's gonna be punishing. So you touched on 2 things that I kind of want to go back on real quick. About learning people tendencies, and I want to go back to when you played Ante. Like, what was it that you saw in this game that you were able to tackle him? Because he played other people who arguably have played the game longer than you, and who would probably say that they're better than you in the game. I'm not gonna say this person's name. Everybody knows this.
I know
this
exactly
person
where you're alluding
is a
to.
dick and got bodied.
Who wouldn't take my bet at last year's Evo when I said that. It was the year Luffy was gonna win. I said, he's gonna take it all. Bet me $20, and he wouldn't with me.
Oh,
like,
really?
He's like, I have no money on me. I was like, oh, sure you do.
Yeah. Well, but you know,
I know exactly who you're alluding
that's that
to.
person's lack of character. Now, you played Ante.
Mm-hmm.
You beat him.
It was a good player.
It was a good game.
Yeah.
I was there live. I saw it. I actually took a picture of you guys. Like, it was I actually love that shot. That was a nice shot. Now, mentally, what did you do to be able to beat him? Because he's a Smash player, but he's a pretty good Street Fighter player. So what did you do going into battling Ante did that like made you, you know, like basically that you were able to pull it off? Because again, other people who have been playing the game longer than you couldn't pull it off. So what is it that you did differently that you were able to beat him?
To be honest, I don't remember a lot of that match. But from what I do remember is that a big thing, like we were talking about earlier, is he couldn't really whiff punish. I was counter hitting him with the shoulder a lot.
Right.
And I remember too is that the big thing too is when you do the counter hit jab into strong into the wall mix up basically, but it's all about don't hit buttons when I hit jab.
Yeah.
I was doing that in the corner a lot on wake up. So that was the big thing is you shouldn't be pressing buttons with Mika when you're right next to her.
Yeah.
So with him, it was just and I capitalized it. But granted, it was a messy match. It wasn't a clean sweep or anything.
Yeah.
It was to and fro from what I remember. But I just try to play it as fundamentally as possible because sadly when I get up on stream I just go and there's not a lot of, sadly the strategy kind of falls by the wayside and I go back to my bad habits. Okay, let's see if he can whiff punish. Okay, let's see if I press a lot of buttons he can do this. I kind of go through my flow chart of can he do this and that. So if I remember correctly, he was pressing buttons on wake up, so I would do the jab counter hit combos. And then I was just whiff punishing him from what I remember. I think I missed a couple anti-airs that I shouldn't have. That's my big thing right now is defense, which is ironic. It's not because Honda's really broken at ST and he has no defense because he has a, what's it called? He has a negative edge OGO throw. So I need to work on my defense in general. But yeah, that was his big thing is just my offense overwhelmed anti. So he just wasn't ready for that, I think.
The next thing I want to discuss, and this is very important, is being a woman in the FGC.
Okay.
And being a good player in the FGC, like what has your journey been so far in terms of being a female on the scene and, you know, people's response to you, people's interactions with you, so on and so forth?
Let me just preface this by saying that this is just my experience so far.
Right.
You know, what I think today may not be necessarily true 5 years from now, 5 minutes from now.
True.
So whatever I say here, just take it with a grain of salt. I just want to have an open discussion.
True.
Because I'm going to have to preface that because you just never know.
It's like, what are you talking about? We don't do that.
Like yeah. Let me be clear. I'm at every single Wednesday Night Fights every week. I'm at every single Evo every year because I love this community.
Right.
Most of this community is amazing. There's a reason I keep doing this. It's so freaking great.
Yeah,
like, I love it.
There's
true. Just a few individuals.
Yes.
That fuck it up for the rest of us.
Yes.
So
that's all it takes.
Be clear.
That's all it takes is a couple of rotten apples. That's it.
Yeah. And
a few.
You were like, oh, you're a rotten apple? I had no idea.
You scumbag.
Yeah, but I think at the beginning, I was just like, and I still feel this way in certain regards, is at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're female or male because it is that equal playing ground. Because at the end of the day, it is a video game.
Right.
And it's 80% mental, like we've been talking about.
Exactly.
So to me, and we could talk about the biology, and we've talked before, like interconnections between the brain.
Right.
Those are just individual characteristics, though, too. The brain can rewire itself however it wants. We could go way scientific with that, but
certain people will disagree. No, I'm just
at the end of the day, personally, I think in that game, it doesn't matter if you're male or female when you're playing the game.
Right.
Take a step sideways when you're talking about competitively playing the game, then we have a whole different story.
That's a whole different. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, there's been adversities. You don't have enough time to talk about them all.
Right.
But we need. We need to figure out a way that we can welcome more players and generally and all, you know, and because we're becoming more esports now, we have to be more welcoming and more open to all these players.
Right.
Because as of right now, I see on average every event I go to 5% females competing.
Yeah. Wow.
Competing.
Jeez.
And even then, I would maybe even give that number to maybe 10% for just females there.
Wow.
So I granted I have these are not legitimate statistics. It's just what I've seen. I think I heard that statistic from somewhere else though, but I haven't been able to confirm or deny that with 100% validity.
What can we do as a community to change that? Like, what can we do as a community to make this a safer space for female gamers? Again, we all know it's not it's not the entire community. There's that small number, there's that minority. However, the majority of us need to talk about this more, need to, present ways to make it a safer space where that number is basically zero. Like, and, people are like, of course, we know that's impossible, but like working towards that is the goal. Like, but how do we do that? Like, how do we start as a community as a whole, start moving towards that direction where more females can feel like, yo, it's safer for me to come out and play a tournament and win and not have somebody call me a bitch or whatever, or like, with the name calling, or worse yet, feel like you're going to be sort of like physically threatened in any way, fashion, or form.
Well, let me put it this way, is I've been very spoiled in SoCal. For the most part, none of that has occurred to me. I don't know whether because it's just been a really awesome place full of dudes and girls. But for the most part, I think it could go like once more females come out, that will solve the problem in general as well. Of like, if there's so many more females, they won't have these issues, and people are like, okay, like I shouldn't be saying this shit, but what was I getting at? I guess is that communication is key at the end of the day. Like, if anyone did that right now at Wednesday Night Fights, someone would be like, what the fuck you saying? Yeah. Like I wouldn't have that problem because people were like, what the fuck shit you're pulling right now? Right. But there are like little moments that have happened where I'm like, really? Yeah. That shit just happened? And so I have to be bigger about communicating like, dude, that's not cool. Yeah. Like,
yeah. No, it's true.
So, I think the females, we need to communicate more. And it's difficult, what do you say to someone who's going, oh, you don't know what you're playing, you're stupid, And you're just like, really? Like, you're going to say that shit to me now when I just beat you 2-0. Like,
yeah,
come
exactly.
on.
Just kind of like, just hold that L, man.
But see, like, in person, no one pulls that shit. Because it's in person. No one usually has the cojones to back that up.
Right.
But online, that's a different story.
That's where the abuse and the
exactly what you're saying. That happens predominantly, and what's funny is on Twitch chat you can see all that now. Yeah. So be careful of what you say, because if I ever meet you in person, I'm gonna be like, by the way, what about this shit you just said? You really to back it up now?
What gets me is that, like, I feel like there's not enough in terms of the dudes. Like, there's not enough of us that's like calling people out, even if it's like, and I know a lot of people who are in the streams, they don't even really come out. They just come into streams just to talk shit. Like, yeah,
they're the trolls.
Whether it's something racist, sexist, like it's just like something foolish always has to be said. But I feel like in terms of like, for women, like reality, if they say it in a chat, they're more likely, if they come out to a local, to want to try something than they are to a dude. And like, somebody will be like, say some shit to, like, maybe like LTG or something like that. And to be fair, it's just like, dude is like, he's a 6'3" black dude. Like, most people, but especially dudes, are cowards. Like, and I'm kind of calling out people right now, but like, I'm just being honest. Like, you would say that shit in a chat, and like, if you're saying the shit that you're saying in chat, like, excuse the expression, but more than likely you're a pussy, because real tough people, if I'm coming in, like, I'm not gonna be in a chat talking shit to a girl. Like that's crazy to me. Like, or talking shit to anybody in general playing a game. But I'm just
you're a mature adult who is living. You realize that the online world is different from reality.
Right.
We're growing up in this day and age now where it's melding together, and people don't realize that. We're like, hey, man, I'm a 90s kid. I still remember when there was dial-up and I played outside.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
So you have to realize that whatever you do online is not the same. It needs to be the same as you do in reality.
Yes.
Because I know, I'm not going to call him out, but there's this kid in the ST scene. He is awesome to hang out with in person.
Right.
Oh my fucking God. You catch him online, he is a dick of all proportions. Right. I don't talk to him at all online. Wow. But that's the kind of person, he just switches when he goes online.
You see, but the problem is, because we live in a community that you have to, like, coming out to locals and like being together in the physical is very important to the community.
Agreed.
That's the reason why I think it needs to change, because I'm just like, and for me personally, I'm like, you could talk, you could say what you want online, but if you come to a local and I see you, you're gonna get a slap. Like, there's not, like, I don't really.
My stick is gonna go towards your groin. My
I'm not really. I'm not really in the business of the whole online tough talking, because to me it's just like, and that's why I'm kind of like calling out like a lot of the dudes in the community. I'm like, no, like, you have to call those, if you know who those dudes are online, you have to call them out like it's real life, like, because it is real life, and whether they're behind a screen or not. Like, for the fact, it's just how you won't, if somebody says something fucked up and racist, and you won't let it slide and use the excuse of, oh, well, it's online. It's the same thing that goes for sexism. Like, you just can't let, he's saying that fucked up shit about women because it's online. No, like, just like how you would give him a slap because he said it online.
Yeah, there needs to be ramifications.
Yeah, like, you're gonna get a slap when I see you at Wednesday Night Fights. Like, it has to be like that simple of like, and it's not about like, because and a slap is just colloquialism. Like, I'm not really meaning it. It's just like, you have to realize like, there's gonna be punishment. Like, people are not gonna mess with you in the community. Like, you're not gonna be able to be a part of this community. There will be some kind of ramifications that will be like felt, whether it's physical, financial, whatever. Like, these things have to happen, and I feel
you need to be banned. From the
and
chat.
like banning, and also the fact that you can't come out to the locals. Like, you cannot be a part of our scene. You cannot go around calling yourself a part of the FGC, because people will be like, no, you are not. Like, you interfere with women at tournaments. So you should not be able to say that. Like, you should not be able to say that you're a part of the community.
But then we started infringing on free speech, and we're having these issues as a society today.
True. Right.
Like, let's
right.
be honest. A lot.
Right.
we're having these issues.
It's true.
So.
But here's my thing with free speech. The backside of that is that you also are responsible for what you say. Agreed. So I'm not saying that you can't say what you want to say,
but you better be able to back your shit up.
Exactly. So that's really my point of like, I'm gonna fucking hold you accountable. So you're gonna talk all that cheese online, and when I see you in person, you're gonna get a fucking slap, and you can't tell me that you can't. I don't want to hear any this that and that. I don't want to hear no extra story. Because you said that. So now you have to be held responsible for that shit that you say. It's just like, I mean, we see it in real life, in adulthood. It's like people who get fired for losing, people get fired and, for singing shit that are messed up in the adult world. And it's not about, we're not infringing on your free speech. No one ever says that you can't say that racist shit. You can't say that sexist shit. We're just saying you can go ahead and say it. But
be ready for the consequences.
But be ready for the consequences of what you say. And I feel like that's the point I'm trying to make. It's just like everybody's like, oh, free speech. And listen, I've actually read it and I understand how law works. And most people who usually say that shit about free speech, they didn't read the rest of the things, because there's also a part of that is understanding responsibility. There's responsibility that goes along with that free speech. Great. That's why you just can't walk into a building and be like, oh, it's on fire. No, you can actually get arrested for that.
Yeah, because you're gonna get at least fined.
Yeah, like you're gonna get in trouble for that. Like that's why there's ideas of like inciting violence. Mm-hmm. That's speech. Like, you can incite violence with speech. So there's all these different things. And I feel like as a community, as a whole, and yes, there's a small minority of people, but I feel like we have so many tournaments and we have so many locals. And like, sometimes I'll say like, oh, wow, like this tournament, like you didn't hear anything. Then 2 weeks later, someone would be like, oh, you didn't hear about it, but this happened. And I feel like that happens too often.
That comes to my next point, which I think we need more, is we need more transparency.
Right.
In the way TOs get trained and in the way they run majors.
Yes.
Because I'm a TO myself at Wednesday Night Fights, but let's be honest, it's a very small side tournament at a weekly. Mm-hmm. So, I was not told. I just come in from work and everyone thinks I work there because I'm in my business jacket, Business Miller, that's why it calls me. But I am no way responsible for esports arena. They have not trained me or anything if anything were to occur. Right. So it scares me sometimes because I've heard about instances, and there have been instances where I'm like, shit, this just happened. What do I do?
Yeah.
So I think because this is becoming a business, this is becoming bigger and bigger, we need to have protocols, or, what if a fire breaks out? Yeah. What do we do? Something small like that.
I definitely agree, because I've been a part of instances, and I didn't really know what to do. It's just kind of like, do you beat the shit out of this person? Like, like what do you do? And I definitely agree with that. And I feel like that's a part of the conversation and us growing, because if we're going to grow as a community and you have these people dumping thousands of dollars into the FGC, like, all of that stuff is going to have to change. And, we're going to have to be able to be a community that's responsible. And like, my whole thing is like, I'm upset at the people who do it, and I'm upset at the people who don't call people out enough, because I'm like, you love this community, but you understand how we look when you go Capcom CPT is streaming and people are in the chat room saying like ridiculous things. Like,
yeah, I can't. I'm afraid to bring my niece into the community. I've talked to many veterans of the community, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't bring my daughter around, but I'm teaching her Street Fighter."
Yeah,
and so I'm just like, "What?"
Exactly.
Like, to me, but I totally understand where it's coming from, because it's not a good environment yet, to bring anyone, and not just even female, just anyone. And there's still great environments in the sense, like, when you go to a local, I have no problem, but it's that online presence that we need to work on, and we need to figure out some solutions on making it better for everyone.
You know what though, and we'll close out on this particular topic with this, and I feel like, and I hate saying this, esports, man.
I've embraced it.
I have a little bit, but I'm trying. I'm fighting with it. because we're embracing esports more and more, I feel like that is the one positive that's going to come out of the whole esports thing is that you will no longer be able to get away with shit like that.
Yeah, which kind of sucks because everyone knows me from the Super Arcade days. Like, I was a ratchet person. Like, even to the, like, if someone's pulling stupid misogynistic shit, I'll be like, yeah, look at these coatings, you know? Like, I'll still do that.
No, I feel like those things are like, you know, and that's like the fine line between like, you know, us losing our FGC personality and things like that. But I feel like there's things it's just like everyone in a chat room knows when someone is just being funny and we're just being silly and we're just trolling, like friendly trolling, just like mess with somebody. And we know when someone is saying fucked up shit just to say some fucked up shit. And what I hope to happen is that fine line can be crossed and people will be able to see those people and we can slowly start to kind of like jettison them from the community because seriously
space pods.
Just the fuck out of here because like I feel like I know that's gonna happen even as a TO, like, you know, that just because like think about it, if someone comes in like, hey, you know, we want to do some business with you, you automatically have to think like, oh, these are the people like I can't really
it's business time.
Yeah, because I can't really have around because they don't know how to behave themselves.
F-bombs
like,
turn into fudge.
Yeah, because like, you know, it's like oh my days or something.
Oh, gracious.
You know, exactly. It's just like, you know, and even if you know, depending on what stream you on, you can still kind of keep that little bit of FGC edge. I think where it comes in,
to Vicious.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Mr. Folded Hands. Once you know, esports Vicious with the folded hands. You know, once you start to see that, and like, but you can like, okay, you know what? I'm so glad you mentioned it. Like, Vicious is a perfect example to me, and I talked to him about this, and I was like, dude, at CBT, I saw you, and I was just like, when you started like. You know, he's like, when someone, I think, who was it? Like, Ultra Dave was like, moment of silence. And he's like, nope, we don't got time for that. You got to hold that. I was like, that's vicious right there. I'm like, that is vicious. I started laughing. I was like, yo, that was some cold shit to say on stream. He's just like, nope, we don't have any time for that. You got to hold that L, man. Keep it moving right along. We have no time for that. And like, I told him that at Capcom Cup when I saw him, I was like, dude, he nodded. And I was just like, dude, that is it right there. And I'm like, the more I see you on stage, the more I see you commentating, the more I think us who know you and people who are real FGC people, we appreciate it because like we get the jokes and we get the like, yo, you gotta hold that. Like when you mess up and like, you know, so it's like, because in like we're part of the community, so we're saying the same thing. So to have somebody on stage who's just like when you mess up and we're like, oh, he messed up. And like you get that funny reaction of that noise of like, oh man, like that makes it like so much more entertaining. And hopefully, you know, that will bring people into the community of like, no, you can be yourself, but you don't have to be a dick because, you know, it's just like, I mean, and if you being yourself, meaning that you're going to be a dick, you're the kind of people we don't want in the community. Like you can be yourself because it is a very loving community. It's a very welcoming community. And, you know, to reiterate the point of what we're both saying, it's the minority. But just like most things that we see even in the real world, those are sometimes the loudest voices. Those are sometimes the most seen people, you know, the minority. So like, I hope
actions have ramifications too. Like actions, whew,
yeah, man. Yeah, trust me. Like, because can you imagine right now with all this money going into the community? Like, I mean, last year, I think at Evo, I heard some craziness. Like, dude, we are on ESPN. Like,
true.
That
true.
Like, we're gonna, like, as a community, we're gonna be looking crazy. Like, and when I say it, like, I literally mean that. As a community, we are going to be looking crazy. It's like we are on ESPN and we out here trying to rape people. Really? Like,
yeah, let's not use that word. Like, come on, let's be adults. Yeah, no, I come from, my dad's side is a conservative background. My mom's side is more of a less conservative background, more liberal. So I have a little bit of both. And I told my uncles on my dad's side, I was like, hey, you know, because they're big sports fans, like, hey, we're on ESPN for Evo, come watch it. So I texted him after, I was like, oh, what'd you think? He was like, it was interesting. I go, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, at the end of the day, we're going to be in the public. So, you know, put out your public face. Like,
yes.
Everyone's going to be watching. I still want to keep the core of what's amazing about the FGC. But at the end of the day, when you're on camera, when you're being interviewed, you need to what am I looking for?
Behave yourself.
Yeah, just be an adult. Like, I always tell people, it's just like, be an adult. It's not that hard.
It's really not that hard.
That's gonna be my new thing. Is I'm just gonna hit people with sticks. Like, be an adult.
Listen, that's what, you know what's so funny? No one. You know, speaking about like being adult, people talking shit. No one took up my offer when I was like,
oh yeah,
if you want to talk shit about Miller, I was just like, I got $100.
No one backs it up.
Yeah,
my cojones are usually bigger than that.
Yeah, and like that was literally my point. It's just like, you talk so much shit on the ST streams. I see you guys. Like, I see you. Like, we could see you. Don't pretend like we can't see you. We see your names. Like, if you think you could do it, it's $100. Just come out to Wednesday night fights.
Let's go.
And hold that L. You know, it's just like, and everything will be fine. Now, the last thing I want to touch on, oh man, this hurts my heart. Because we need to go deep on this.
Okay.
Season 2 changes. What are you expecting? What are you hoping for? What are you not hoping for? I mean, that all the data is out now, so anything right now would be kind of wishful thinking. And if things don't work out for you, in terms of Mika, who do you think you're going to start migrating to?
Let's work on that last question first. So as of yesterday, I started playing Guile. Thanks, Nickeldoo.
Really?
Just as of yesterday, I was online and I was playing some ranked matches. Like, ooh, I don't want to bring my points down. Let's play some casual matches.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, working on Guile right now because he has more. I mean, he's not the typical zoner, but he controls the pace of the match, which I like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can go from defensive to offensive in these little moments. It's going weird. Not gonna lie, it's a little weird with the charge timing from ST to here, but I'm getting used to it. At least there's not charge partitions to my knowledge, like third strike.
Yeah,
so I'm not too worried about that.
I mean, you've seen Knuckle do the ST mix-ups, like. Very, very nasty.
Yeah, no, and so he's a great person to watch on YouTube, you know, with all this information. I'm hoping to learn a lot from him. But I'm still going to rock Mika because at the end of the day, even my big thing was that invisible wall being taken away mid-screen. And that destroys the corner carry game. But to me, you just have to be a stronger bulldog than maybe getting in the corner. Because let's be honest, in the corner, she's still going to be scary as shit.
Yes, she is.
As Milton's eyes get all big.
Yes, the scumbaggery. Oh my god.
The thuggery.
Yeah, dude, the thuggery is so stupid. Mika gets you in the corner, like, and you know what? To be honest and to be fair, her changes are fair. I'm not like, you know, and I'm just gonna say this quickly because to this person because we went to CPT together and he sent me a text in CPT sitting literally the next row over from me and he rolled his eyes after do one. Fuck you, Sean.
Look, he at the end of the day, he could have picked. He picks a character that works against your style. Yeah. You have to give credit where credit is due because he figured out his opponent.
He figured everybody out.
Yeah, like.
Wait, I just want to say this though because I don't think enough credit is given. Shout out to Ricky, man.
Yeah,
Ricky,
she was amazing.
Is legit. Like I have a couple players like that I love, and the female players are. I have even though like I would really and I tweeted at her at CPT and I was like I want to see you on that stage next year. Sherry, you, and Ricky.
There's some more out there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like who I enjoy and who I really like enjoy watching, and I can see that talent. But it was so dope, and I think it's so important that everybody was behind Ricky, and to see her like you saw glimpses and you saw a very like vivid shadows of old Ricky, and that shit was amazing. And
her footsies were on crack that day, reminiscent of CVS2 footage.
Yeah, man, like she fucking played such an amazing ass game. But you know, it speaks to both like, you know, her skill level, her tenacity, and even more so to be able to, you know, to take her out because they were taking out killers, man. And for you who don't understand the context, like it was a US
were top 2. That's crazy.
That's insane. We like this. Everybody bought a T-shirt. We are no longer free. Okay,
like this is 20 years in the making. Yeah. Like Japanese have always dominated.
Always.
That the script got rewritten.
Yeah. Exactly.
We were all like,
Exactly. So I just wanted to make a little notation of that. Give, do his props as, once again, of course, give Ricky her props because she played fantastically, and it was just like listen, dude, he had it, man. Like the dude.
She seemed to be losing steam at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like, and it's, I haven't even gotten top 8 on major yet. So this is like, I lose steam during pools. So I totally understand. I know what that looks like and I know what that feels. It just seemed like she was losing steam.
Yeah.
And Mika does that. She feels your fear and she capitalizes on it, dude, as much as she can.
I felt her pain sitting in there watching her.
Yeah.
When dude got her in the corner, I was like, oh my God.
I get scared when it's a Mika mirror match and I'm in the corner. Dude, I'm like, oh.
Dude, literally this was me. I was like, oh man, she's in the corner. And I was like, yaga, mix up, out of here. Because I knew what was coming. Like, I was just like, dude, like, and I'm like, at that level, I'm just like, oh man. And it's interesting with this game because it's like, I don't enjoy playing it, but I love watching it played at that level. It's so amazing, even though it's a fucking heartburn, this damn game right now. It's heartburn.
I have to say, it is so much fun to watch Street Fighter 5. I get a kick out of it every time. I'm watching videos every day and learning things.
It's so much fun to watch. But getting off course as usual on the Slovenly Gamer podcast.
So much fun.
Season 2. So we're talking about season 2, the changes. No mid-screen carry. Got to be a little bit more bulldog in terms of the character. I mean, I think a couple months prior they took away the automatic grab on the clap.
For OS, I wasn't using it in general. I was trying to learn it,
away,
but it was a timing issue with me because it seemed like depending on your spacing, you had to have different timing.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I like the old school games, so I wasn't using it. I'm not actually a fan of OSs. That's what I hate about 4 the most. To me, I want your heart and feel in the game. Mm-hmm. I want, if that comeback is because I read you as an opponent, take away the math. And this is coming from a stats major. Like, take away the math.
Right.
Excuse me.
Oh, don't die now.
Too late. I choked on camera and on stream. You don't want, basically. Okay, no, we're good. I'm getting choked up just thinking about Mika. Sorry. Basically, what was the question again as I died?
It was, how do you feel about the changes? And we're basically talking about her OS being removed and people not using it and all those minor changes, but you saying that it's something that you didn't really use anyway. Yeah. And see, again, and we were saying before, so I guess we both agree in terms of feeling like her changes are fair and it's not too much, even though it's going to take away a lot of fun things to be able to do and making corner carries easier.
Now, can you remind me, because I'm more of a visual learner, and rather than read all the changes, also I was really upset. I was like, I can't read no more. Mm-hmm. Was there any other big major changes coming to her?
Not that I can recollect,
Okay.
Not that I can recollect.
We'll have to see
what
comes out then, because I'm more of a visual to see what works, because just because, yes, they took away certain things, other techniques may pop up.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Agreed.
I don't know yet. I'm too optimistic by half.
Agreed.
So we'll see what happens.
So what else are you expecting for season 2? I mean, we already know the Mika changes. We know the Ken. Ken is basically has an encyclopedia. There's so many changes for him. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. There's new characters. We got shadows. We didn't really see any new characters. But let's touch on that a little bit. Who do you think some of these characters are going to be?
I think Alex Myers tweeted out that one of them was going to be a Samurai Showdown girl. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or possibly,
really?
Possibly. Ooh, I have to look at that again, that tweet. But he said maybe, based on the fuzzy outline.
Yeah.
But I think Capcom said they're going to be all brand new characters, new to the universe.
Yeah, new to the.
So maybe not. So because technically Samurai Showdown is part of the universe.
It's part of the universe. Yeah.
So I don't know, but to be honest, when we went through story mode and we saw some of those characters, me and El Trouble were like, "Oh my god, please tell me we can play them later on." Some of the dolls with the guns, some of
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm certain
I'm
one
excited.
of them, like one of them has to be a doll. I'm sure one of them.
I'm hoping that would be really cool.
I'm sure one of them is going to be a doll. But
the really cool did she have a spear?
I think so.
With
yeah.
I don't remember, but she was really, really cool. And I was like, oh my gosh, please let her be it.
yeah. So, I mean, like, it's exciting. I'm going to basically start at scratch for season 2 because I haven't played in so long. And it's going to be, so I'm excited. Like, I'm one of those people that I'm optimistic. I'm like, listen, the changes of fear, I'm going to have some trouble, but...
My biggest thing is I hope there's some core mechanics changes.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. Yeah.
My big thing, and granted, it is a different game. That's fine. I don't want it to be Super Turbo 2.0. I mean, don't get me wrong, that would be amazing. But I know it's not Super Turbo 2.0.
Right.
I know it's not Street Fighter 4 Ultra Mega Edition, So it is its own game. But some core mechanics that I have issues with is just mashing jab as an anti-air. And to me, it should be timed, more so, and not given such a huge ass priority in that sense.
I'll give you that.
But at the same time, you have to play devil's advocate. Well, one jump in combo is like 30%, 40%. So I kind of understand that too. But to me, there should be more timing with the anti-airs, and it should just not brain dead, like, I'm gonna stop you.
Yeah.
But that's me personally. We'll see with that no invincibility uppercut though.
Yeah, it's 50-50 because I feel like also it's just like you shouldn't be jumping so damn much anyway. So
yeah.
If you're always jumping and you catching that little slap out of the air, well,
agreed. You need a better ground game for sure. Yeah,
exactly.
No,
so
something I have to work on as well. Maybe I'm jumping too much, which is probably totally true as Mika player.
yeah, when in doubt with Mika, just jump, man. Just jump. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's that what if 40% damage, but then you get anti-aired and comboed. So at the end of the day, you should keep your ass on the ground. And
exactly.
You should have that
exactly. And you should know it's just like if you jump in, like, it's and you get it. Well, you worked hard for that jump in, and you deserve it. So it's kind of like because I feel like the way that it is now with the jabs, it's kind of like if I get in on you, I deserve that. If you get in on me, you deserve it because I didn't anti-air you properly. Because I know we could just like mash that out and catch you. With Mika, we have options in terms of anti-airing too, not just jab. Nasty.
Crouch, medium, punch, any of the three of her airplanes.
Yeah.
And then especially that EX airplane, beautiful.
Let me tell you something. That thing is so nasty. It's so nasty, and I think they fixed it because earlier it could catch you if you're jumping forward. It doesn't matter how low you are. Damn near, you can still hit. If you hit it with EX, you can still catch them.
Yeah, shout outs to General Azad, General Dogteeth. A couple months back, he did scissors, which, he's a dictator player, and he just did a forward scissors. And I caught him with I didn't even react, I just thought he would do it, and I did wingless airplane, and it caught him. And we're like, what? Like, this is not active till frame 5.
What?
So if you do it early enough, like, granted, it is a complete risk though, but like what? Like scissors is so low to the ground.
Scumbag. No, it's true. You know why? Because I noticed it. I was online. I was playing a Rashid player, and we're like mid screen, fair distance away. He tried to jump in, and I'm crouch blocking, and he jumps in, and dude, he's literally like just right above my head, close to the ground, and I just saw it. And it was like every time just slow down, and he jumped in, and I just automatically did it, and I caught him.
Let it go.
And he was like, "How the fuck did you do that?" And I was just like, "Dude, I didn't even know you could do that." And like we tried it a couple times, and I realized like, "Oh shit!" Like if you jump towards Mika, no matter how low you are, just the fact that you're off the ground, that is your ass. And
but she does need meter for it, so
that's the thing.
Is a resource.
Yeah.
So,
it's like
I think only her medium airplane is the only decent one because the other ones are too quick or the activity doesn't come out.
Yeah, it doesn't come out, and like you'll go over like it's the arc of her movement always like takes you up, but EX it's like weird. I don't know what it is, but like you can just grab anybody from.
I think it's invincible. It starts becoming invincible on frame 5.
Okay.
I think that's why. I have to double check though.
Man.
I have to.
Oh my gosh, Mika.
Bust out all the math.
Yeah, Mika. Before you go, so we spoke about ST running the tournaments and things like that. I want you to talk about this because this is coming up next week, and this episode is going up on Monday, and we need to talk about this. Talk about the ST Christmas party that's going on that you guys are throwing at Wednesday Night Fights.
So shout outs to Sharon X. Let me be clear. Yeah, I'm an ST TO, but for the most part, the last couple of months, she's been running pretty much everything.
Oh, nice. Shout outs to Sharon. Sharon's the homie.
I play Street Fighter 5, maybe come back and yell at people, and then maybe get some people to join. But for the most part, Sharon is holding down the fort. Now that El Trouble is working a lot more, and we have some other players that come out and help TO as well. That whole community is really awesome. Shout outs to Mr. Igloo. Shout outs to Silent Scope, Scuzz Bucket. They help run. Right. They honestly help us.
Yeah, I always see them around and stuff like that. So like setting things up and always hanging around somewhere. So definitely.
So this Wednesday, which I believe is the 14th or something like
this
that.
Wednesday is the 15th, I believe.
Wow. This is why I'm not the advertiser.
Is it? It's
the 14th. Yes.
It's the 14th. Okay. Oh, you were right. Look at that.
So this Wednesday, the 14th, we're going to be having a Super Turbo Christmas party at the Esports Arena in Anaheim. Come on by for Wednesday Night Fights.
Get bodied.
It's going to be a $5 venue fee, but it gets you pizza and raffle tickets. And the raffle tickets are going to be some really awesome nerd memorabilia.
Nice.
I'm excited. I can't show you all the prizes, but trust me, it's going to be good. Good games, good people, good time. And if you want to donate more money, or if you want to give more money to the scene, please follow, subscribe to Sharon X. She's doing a great job.
I'm gonna put all that stuff in the show notes. I'm gonna put her link, her stream, her Twitch link in the show notes. Put ST, I think, because that ST her show that you guys usually stream on her Twitch account, right? For ST. So boom, everything's gonna be right there then. Perfect.
Fantastic. But yeah, and what we're also gonna be doing is we're going to, if you want more chances to win these awesome prizes, you can buy more raffle tickets as well. There'll be possibly a kissing booth with El Trouble.
That's hilarious.
There's gonna be a lot of fun. Maybe more things. We'll see. But yeah, honestly, there's been so many people that have helped build the Super Turbo community. I'm just so grateful. This is a 20+ year old game, and I'm so grateful for the people before us, DGV, Karopi, Sergey for Arcadium. Like, all of these guys have built this, and it's possible for us to run a weekly and have at least 12 people every week. Like, that's insane. And one week we had like 32 people. Like, wow. If we can get the numbers, and at Evo I had to turn people away. I
was there. I remember. I couldn't even say what's up to you guys. You guys were so busy. Yeah, I remember.
I want to say thank you, everyone. I know a lot of people are hidden ST nerds and loves. Like, I didn't even know some people, and they like, oh, by the way, I saw you on this. I'm like, how did you know? You don't even play Super Turbo. Okay, I see you watching. There's a lot of silent people who are ST lovers at heart. But I just want to say thank you. This game is amazing. This community is amazing. And thank you guys for all your hard work. I'm going to try to work just as hard. And
you got it. You're doing good. Before you go, though, give everyone your social media stuff. Let them know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
You can find me on Twitter at KillrMiller time. Killer, though, is without the E, but everything else is spelled correctly. And then Twitch in the future, it is not happening yet, but it will be hopefully soon. That's in the works. Streaming and whatnot. Facebook, KillrMiller time, I believe, as well. Pretty much anywhere Miller time, can't go wrong.
Nice. And I have been your humble host, Milton. You guys, you know we can find me everywhere. Slovenly Gamer on Twitter, Slovenly Gamer Facebook page. Remember, if you're listening to this on iTunes, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the show. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Enjoy this music that's coming in right now. I don't know what I'm going to play. I've been listening to a lot of Japanese like funk and jazz recently. Ooh. So that's probably coming in right now. A lot of Najubes, so like, you know, something crazy. But whatever it is, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for listening. And before I go, shout out to the homie KillrMiller's boyfriend, aka Eugene, aka El Trouble. I hope you feel better, bro. I'll see you soon. Peace.